Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 2 of the class. One of the activities that you will be working on this week is your bibliography. So I'm just going to quickly show you what I'm expecting because the bibliography template that I have here for you is a little different from other bibliographies that you have done, and it is a little more inclusive of some content that I would like you to include in there. This is the start of your individual project. By now, you should have met with me and have had your individual research topic approved by me or whoever is the instructor. And this is the first step that you want to do. You want to open the bibliography template, which is right here. If you click on that, it will open a Google document for you, which you cannot edit. So what you want to do is you want to click on the file and download this as a Microsoft Word on your computer, because then you can start filling this information that I want you to include here. The reason you're doing this is to create a resource page where you can write your final paper without having to go back to every article that you have found as you're writing it. So some of the information that you're including in this template is the reference in an APA citation format, the name of the author and the year that this article was published, the summary of the article, so you give a little overview of what the research or the process of gathering data was and what were the conclusions. If there were some important data or numbers that you want to include, definitely include that here. And then some quotes, some few sentences from the article with including some context. So if you're including a quote, make sure that you're including some additional information that make that quote more meaningful out of that research. So when I go and read it, I can understand that quote based on the description that you have added, what that quote meant to you and why you chose to pick that quote. If you do a good job on gathering the data for every article here, then you will be able to copy paste a lot of this information and create your final paper based on that. So I'm going to just quickly show you what I would do as an example. So let's say one of the topics that we agreed on was bilingual education K through 12. And that's a very broad topic, but we're going to start with that. As you see, there are 19,000 some hundred results, which that's way too much for us to review. So we want to make sure that, first of all, our articles are peer reviewed. We want to make sure that they are journal articles. Even though books are good resources, but for this research, you're going to find academic peer-reviewed journal articles. So we select articles, we make sure that it is peer-reviewed. Sometimes it's helpful to do a full text online because that gives you access to that resource right away. And because you have a limited time to complete this research, you may want to use this. And then I make sure that I apply those filters and we will see how much results do we have. We still have 11,000 results. And even though it's okay, we can of course look at these, but to make it even more specific, we can kind of play around with the topic that we have choose or the keywords that we have picked. So I'm going to add influence of bilingual education on learning content in K through 12 and see if that helps us kind of narrow down our topic. And it did. It actually now gave us a 27 results. I just want to make sure that it is still looking at the peer review. So I have to go back and click on these again and apply the filters. Now I can see that the articles are peer-reviewed. I have 23. This is manageable. So you can start by the topic of the research that sounds more interesting to you. What I like to do when I'm looking for an article, I will open whichever one that sounds like something relevant to what I want to study. So I'm kind of interested in this. So I'm going to open that and read the abstract or the description and see if this is something that I like. And then some of the information that you need to gather, you can actually find as you are in this page. If you copy paste this link, you may not be able to retrieve this again. So you want to make sure that you select a permanent link and copy paste that. I will make sure that I'm sharing this link with myself just so I can find it. You can, of course, use the EndNote or email it to yourself, or if you're using RefWorks, you can definitely save that in the RefWorks. It's always very good to use these tools just to save your article so that you can go back and find it. Now, here is the link to the article, which I like to include that just in case I need to open it, I can just click on a link and go back to the article easily. Now, here is another tip. You always find Cite This or something like that that gives you the APA, MLA, or different citation. It's always good to look at the APA 6th edition, and you can use this citation. However, I always make sure that I revise it because sometimes those citations are not 100% accurate, but this is a good start to copy paste this here just to help me write the APA citation for the references later. This also helps me to put the name of the author or authors here because then I can use that for the in-text citation. So for example, here I would put Jung 2006. Now, the description, some people choose to copy paste the information directly from the article. I do not recommend that. I recommend that you read the full text, you read the full abstract, introduction, and the research and the conclusion, and kind of gather your own summary of the article. If there was some information that would help you, cite the number of participants or something, make sure that you're including that. If there was something interesting about the method of the research that you want to include in your lit review, make sure that you're gathering that data and including that in the summary portion of your research. And then another information that I asked you to include was if there was a direct quotation that you want to include from the research. Sometimes you read a text and you feel like this is the best way that something could be explained, and I want to use exactly the same text. So for that, you need to include a direct quotation. Let's say I'm including this direct quotation. Now, for a direct quotation, you have to include the page number or the paragraph number. Because we don't have, it doesn't look like we have page numbers here. Now I'm going to take a look at the full text PDF because a lot of time those give us a page number. That's true. So I'm going to go with this one because this is the exact same text. It gives me the page number, which is very helpful when I'm including a direct quotation. So I'm finding that quotation that I'm going to use in here. Let's say I'm talking about the observed impact of let's say I'm including something from this portion, the integration program status, I'm finding something interesting from this page that I'm deciding to include. It's actually at the end of page 30. It's actually in page 35. So if I'm going to include that, let's say I'm picking a little quotation, and always make sure that you're not including another quotation that is in the research, because that becomes your secondary resource, and we try to use the primary resources when we do a lit review. So make sure that you're using what the author wants to say. So if I choose to paraphrase this, I don't need to include the page number. But if I don't paraphrase and I just include a text, I have to make sure that I put page number, and we do P, let's say 35. Actually, we do name of the author, comma, year, comma, and then page number. When we have a direct quotation. Now, if I choose to paraphrase this, I can only include the last name of the author and the year that this article was published, and I can close the parentheses right here. But because it is a direct quote, I have to include a page number. Now, because this quotation is something in the text that may not make too much sense here, I have to make sure that I'm adding some of my own information that I've gathered and why I thought that this was an interesting quote or what it meant in the context. So if you go ahead and fill this bibliography, next week when you're working on your research paper, this is going to be very helpful to just pick the information from your bibliography template and place it in your research paper and do just an overview of your research paper and the lit review that you have there, and then make sure that your citations are correct. Including more information here is going to help you not have to click on that link and going back to that research every time that you want to find some information or cite it. So hopefully you find this very helpful, and see you next week. Let me know if you have any questions by email, or let me know if you need to meet. Have a good week.